Hello, this is Diana Jarvis from the Young Reporter Scheme, and today I'm talking to Eleanor Larson, who did the scheme with me in 2013. Welcome, Eleanor, and thank you for coming to join me today.
Thanks for having me.
You won the scheme in 2013, and that year you won Best Feature, and then you went on to win the Top Reporter. I mean, that must be a great experience to have that sort of on your CV.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a great experience. I was so shocked as well to have won anything, let alone go to the ceremony and then find out I'd won something else. So yeah, I was like so grateful, and I feel like I took a lot from the experience of doing that.
Yeah, well, you deserved it. But then you went on and you left school and you then did a gap year, I think, in South Africa at a game reserve.
I didn't do that for a whole year, actually. I just did that for a few months after I finished school, and then I went on to university in the September. But yeah, that was amazing, like chance of a lifetime. I went with a group of people that I'd studied with in sixth form, and yeah, it was just such a great opportunity to see another part of the world and experience a different way of life.
What did you have to do?
A lot of things. So the game reserve was a private game reserve, which focused on conservation. So amongst other things, I had to kind of catch springbok, which are like deer, and vaccinate them against different diseases, and like other not anywhere near as interesting things like do some weeding around electric fences. But yeah, like I learned a lot as well. So no, it was amazing.
It must have been really fascinating, to work with the wildlife and to be, as you say, in a different country and explore their culture. And then you went on to uni, and then you did quite a lot of stuff at uni. You did some editorial work, I think, with various, you did the Tab, didn't you? And I think you also did several other avenues of editorial.
Yeah, so I wrote for the Sutton Tab. So I was at the University of Southampton, so that's their local branch, and I was the features editor there in my last year of university. That was great because I think that was a level of journalism which was really local, and you're kind of focusing on a really specific target audience of students. But I also formed some of my best friendships through doing that. So I'm really good friends with now a few people who were editors for different parts of the tab, and it's really nice to go and like see what a real range of people go on to do. And some of those people work in the media and journalism now, and others do completely different things. But it's definitely, a niche thing to write for a student newspaper. And yeah, so in the time I was at university, I was really focused on journalism, and that's what I wanted to do for my career. So I did some work experience at The Telegraph, which was daunting but amazing. I did have to go and do some quite difficult things there, like go and interview the neighbours of people who'd been involved in like criminal incidents. And then I did quite a lot of stuff in the fashion and beauty departments of a few newspapers and magazines, including Closer and the Daily Express.
That was good. So do you find your experience doing the Young Reporter Scheme with us helped in doing that?
Yeah, I definitely think it gave me the confidence to know that if you want something, you have to kind of go out and get it. It's quite daunting to interview people or ask random people for their opinions on things. As a young person, like as a teenager, I think that's something that's really hard to do. And actually, the older I've got, the more I've realised that a lot of adults struggle with doing those things. And I think it did give me the confidence to put myself in situations where I did feel out of my depth or like I didn't really know what I was doing. But actually, if you have a go, throw yourself into it and be confident, people will realise that your opinion is valid and want to listen to you and want to work with you.
Yeah, and really good experience. Eleanor, how difficult was it for you to find articles to write about?
I think with the scheme needing to cover a full range of like article types, some months were considerably easier than others. So there were things that happened during the time I was on the scheme that gave me a really clear idea for an article, and like looking around you and seeing what's happening in your local area was a really great thing to do. And I think is a thing that we should encourage lots of young people to do, and that the scheme encourages young people to do, because it makes you more aware of your surroundings. So one of my articles. My breaking news article was about a moped theft at a time when multiple mopeds or motorbikes have been stolen from around the area I went to school in. And I think actually it puts you in like a really unique position to be part of a community, to then write about that community. And other months it was more difficult to come up with texts and find people, for example, to interview or to talk to or get opinions from. But I think that's a really good thing to teach young people to do, because as adults in life, we so often have to so often situations are challenging, and we can't, just because something isn't easy, we have to keep trying and working really hard at it. And I think it does prepare young people for working life and adult life in that way.
Yes, I mean, we try to put students out of their comfort zone, really, and that's the whole objective of the scheme, because a lot of students are not aware of what's going on in their local surroundings, and it is quite important to sort of connect with society generally. So moving on, you've obviously left uni now, and what are you doing now?
So after I left university, I did apply to some journalism grad schemes, and I wasn't successful on any of those in the first round. And at the same time, I applied to the leadership development programme with Teach First, which I ended up accepting. And I worked in Kent in a large secondary school teaching English. And I was there a few years, and now I've moved to a school in West London, where I've been working as the director of English there for a few years now.
So you're teaching full time?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it's good because obviously, doing any type of career following the Young Reporter scheme, is good. It's given you kind of a grounding. But I mean, you said to me earlier that you were interested in running the scheme at your own school. So obviously it impressed you enough for you to want to sort of carry it through to students yourself.
Yeah, I definitely think it's something I'd love to get my own pupils involved with, particularly because of the focus on non-fiction. So in my experience of working with like children and young people in reading and writing, I think that a lot of our traditional curriculums focus on reading and writing fiction and creative texts, but actually so many pupils are passionate about non-fiction topics and would enjoy reading about those or writing about those more, but don't always get taught to write for a purpose. And I think that's the great thing about Young Reporter, is that because you're writing articles to be published, you have to think about the purpose of them and your audience in a way that I think some work in schools is quite removed from.
Yes, and it's interesting for us because in theory you've come full circle. You were one of my students, and now you're going to be running your own students, so to speak. So that's excellent. Well, it's been really interesting talking to you, Eleanor, and I really appreciate you giving up your time today. And thank you so much for coming along to talk to me.
Thank you. It's been great to talk with you and to reconnect with you after all these years.
This has been Diana Jarvis talking to Eleanor Larson.